June 2nd to the 8th, 2025. Week ahead astrology brings us a beautiful, fortunate mini grand trine as benefic and positive planets Jupiter and Venus come into a glorious sextile while also engaging Mars in the sign of Leo. This little triangle brings good things. And we're also going to talk about Mercury. He happens to hit the bending of the nodes of fate in the sign of Gemini, something he can only do 2 times every 18 to 20 years. And in this regard, as he comes to the bending of the North Node in particular, which is now in Pisces, from his position in Gemini, we're going to see some pretty powerful news stories come up individually and collectively. Get ready for those destined, fated phone calls, emails, text messages, and conversations with people in your life this week ahead that are going to game change and pivot stories in your reality, taking you in an entirely new directions. Now, this is very powerful energy, and it's mostly active for the signs of Gemini and Virgo and Pisces and Sagittarius. And you guys are going to really feel this kind of like, whoa, information news, destined, fated, positive, mostly worldly success, yes, but something's coming up for you. We all feel it though, but the ones who get the huge whoosh out of it are those signs, sun, moon, and rising. So welcome to the week ahead astrology. We're going to break it down for you bit by bit. I encourage you to like, subscribe, and hit my notification bell if you don't mind. It would really help my channel grow and tell the algorithm that you guys like me, so they'll share it with more people. If you're new here, welcome as well. My name is Lori Luthian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac astrology. This is not Indian, Vedic, or sidereal. This is the Western symbolic zodiac, which is just as accurate in actually making forecasts, strangely enough. We might be in a matrix. And if you're new here and you want to know more about what I do, everything about me is in my description box under this video. Just hit the more ... button under the title of the video, and you'll see underneath here free courses I offer. Take my free asteroid courses, take my do this, do that. I have freebies, free tutorials on how to cast your chart and whole sign houses. I also would like to draw your attention to my Sky Reader class if you want to learn to be your own astrologer and time your best life. I'm teaching that course this year in the July and August timeframe. And you want to sign up for the early bird discount pricing, please check my link below. Enrollment will not open until sometime in June, but I want you to be aware that you have an option to learn enough astrology to make some timing predictions for yourself. And some of you already know that my 2025 individual sign forecasts are still for sale at half price. All that information for those 2-hour videos and the PDFs, including the bundle, is in the description box below. Now, what a week, guys. For the most part, I can only say it's positive. It's positive because of flow between Jupiter at the end of Gemini and Venus at the end of Aries. This energy allows for something positive to occur. And both of those planets happen to be engaging Mars around 23-4 degrees of Leo. And therefore, what ends up occurring is we get a little triangle in the sky called a miniature grand trine. The energy is positive. It's lucky. It's filled with goodness and positive momentum. Mars brings momentum. Jupiter brings positivity, and Venus brings peace. Yes, I know. So many hopeful skies for peace, and not all of it has come to pass. But I will suggest to all of us that if we're going to find a peace deal forged in the fire of Leo, Donald Trump's ascendant, J.D. Vance's ascendant, Iran's ascendant this week ahead, we're going to see some stories to do with those characters, maybe that country, but also any place that's currently at war, and the idea in the world that this energy could really pivot towards a new peace deal, ceasefire, or resolution. And this energy is playing out through the entirety of the week ahead. It's more exact around Thursday, if I remember correctly. I'll be showing you the sky. The other thing is that Mercury bends the nodes of fate, meaning he squares the nodes of fate. If you're born with a planet square the nodes of fate in your natal chart, that is a very karmic and pivotal planet, and it's either bending the north or the south node. This is position of Mercury clockwise from the North Node in Pisces indicates he's bending the North Node of fate in the sign of Pisces, where it's been since early January. So this means it's his first bending of this node. He'll do another one next year around the same time of year in the summer. So we only have experienced this 18 years ago. In fact, let me show you what I mean. You'll see that the energy of Mercury, the messenger of the gods, the news, the information, the conversations, the phone calls, the negotiator, the marketer, the mercantile guy, is going to do this on a regular rhythm. And, just to be aware, he's very strong. Why is he so strong? Gemini. He's in his home sign kingdom, and therefore his powers are overly impressive. And if he wants to negotiate by sextiling the goddess of peace and sextiling the god of war, creating that little triangle, while Venus is trining Mars, peace and war are in flow, harmony, then this is the week you'll see some breakthroughs. So I'm going to show you a little graph so you can see what I mean by every 18 years and the rhythm of Mercury and Gemini flowing to the north, squaring the north node in the sign of Pisces and the south node in the sign of Virgo. So take a look at this. So take a look at the little graph. I'm going to show you the little picture, and you'll see what I mean for cycles. In astrology, we want to look at things, how cyclical, how rare are they? How often does this kind of thing happen? And so you'll see up here, Mercury is a sign. Mercury is a little, ant. And this is Gemini here, Gemini, Mercury. And the question is, or the picture is, what happens when, how often does this occur? Mercury being in Gemini squaring the north node of fate. Well, we had it in 1951. You see Mercury and the north node in Pisces. And it would have probably been in 1950 as well. I cut my screenshot off here. But in 1969, and in 1970, Mercury in the sign of Gemini squaring the north node or bending the north node in the sign of Pisces. So here we see resonance with things that may have been occurring in 1969 and 1970. We had the swearing in of Nixon in 1969. We had still the tail end of that Vietnam War story. Lots of student protests, sit-ins, summer of love. Things were going down back then. So keep that in mind. You'll also notice that if we go past 69 and 1970, when this was last occurring, with Mercury news, markets, mercantile information, etc. Back then, no text messages, right? Zoom calls, but there's ways that Mercury communicates destined information to each of us this week. The last time he was doing this story after that, 1988 and 1989. Now, the Berlin Wall fell in 1989 and Glasnost was underway. So there's themes of 79, 88, 89 that could occur yet again. That can very much be about Mercury and Gemini and North Node in Pisces. Gemini is a sign of the brothers or the twins, and it represents neighbors and brothers at war or at peace, either one. This can bring, with Venus's collaboration for our sky this week, because Mercury's in Gemini with Jupiter, a real turning point to take warring brothers or warring neighbors into peace agreements of some sort. And with Venus and Aries, we're looking at kind of playing hardball here. She's in her masculine energy. She's fighting for peace. She's Hanoi Jane. Hanoi Jane is Jane Fonda during the Vietnam War, protesting as well. So going off to sing for the soldiers, but protesting the war. So and Jane Fonda has her Venus and Aries. So you're going to find a kind of fierce desire to see Venus bring peace, almost like she could strong arming for peace. Exactly. 2007, it happened only one time. It happened literally in May of 2007. So you can go back and look at stories in the world and your life connected to themes I kind of mentioned in May of 2007, what kind of breaking news stories occurred. And of course, here we are again in June of 2005 and May of 2009. 2026. So we get two goes at it, and it doesn't come back this way for another 18 years. So May 17th of 2007, if I was to literally go back and grab a story, okay, I'll grab a story right now. What do I find? I found some great examples, and I'm going to share them with you right now. And just want to say, remember the spirit of Mercury, right? Commerce, economies, but negotiations, in Mercury trade, in countries, civil war, or war between nations or disagreements or agreements trying to forge between neighboring countries, neighbors and brothers, etc. And you'll see some interesting stories that I've got to share with you from 1989 and 2007 that kind of, highlight what we're talking about. So what I've got here, for example, I'm just hanging out over here on Wikipedia, and you'll notice that we're talking about the beginning here. What year am I in? Yes, this is 1989. So it was right up here around May the 1st, 1989. We had a genetic modification of adult human beings. So the first time genetic modifications was tried in a gene tagging trial. Okay, that could be the kind of the mad scientist energy of Mercury in the sign of Gemini. Also, we saw that the president of Paraguay declared himself president. So we had a military coup. But we also had the first crack in the Iron Curtain where Hungary dismantled a bunch of its fence between itself and Austria. So again, where there have been borders may be coming down. Where borders have existed, borders may be going back up. There's stories to do with what goes on between neighbors. And of course, Hungary and Austria are neighbors. Gemini is a sign of neighbors, destined change, expansion, growth, or shift, North Node in Pisces. And the first McDonald's on May 3rd was being built, constructed in Moscow. So there's sort of a sense of a sea change energy going on here, right? We get the vibe of the gene science. We get the changing of the boundaries between two countries. We're in the early stages of the complete end of the Cold War. Now, if I move us over to 2007, and I hope I can tell where I am. Yeah. 2007 on the, May 17th. And I'm trying to pick closest possible to when Mercury was at the bending, but you could probably look at the 16th, 17th, and 18th and come up with similar stories. Okay. So things that were going on then would be lots of the president highlighting global warming. 19 Senate's Democrats joined the Grand Old Party to reject a bill that was meant to cut off funding for the Iraq war. So because legislation issues can also be about negotiations between two parties, right? That's a very Gemini story, very Mercury story. And then you end up with destined, news events to do with this case, a vetoing of a desire by the government to actually, stop the funding for an ongoing war. And as you know, a lot of countries now are beginning to defund a particular war in the Middle East because of how atrociously awful it has gotten. There was another one I was looking for on the 17th. There was we won't even go to the Gaza situation because it's nothing like then. Cyber war. Russia was a big news story broke that Russia had unleashed a cyber war against Estonia, a Baltic country. So, we could see Mercury is information, Gemini's technology. We could and squaring the nodes are not easy places, right? So there could be some cyber warfare attacks going on as well. These are just things to look at. I didn't have time today to do a whole historical dive. It is a short moving, fast moving transit. Let's go ahead, look at the sky, and then do your sign. This is my weekly forecast. I don't cover the moon, as the moon is whipping around the sky, changing signs every 2.5 days. I'm not really fond of the lunar coverage. If I feel drawn to the movement of the moon, I certainly will dive in, but I want you to see the sky on June the 2nd. Let us stabilize the chart, if you don't mind, to an Aries whole pinned to Aries 0, so that as I move the sky, the chart stabilizes. Monday, June the 2nd, you're going to notice that as we begin the Monday, I'm hearing that Monday, Monday. Venus is coming off trying to heal the chironic war wounds of the world. She's been doing that the week before, Thursday through to Sunday. Now, as we hit Monday, she's kind of overcome that story, hopefully tried to force or strong arm some chironic war wounds into healing. And there's again, Venus trining the goddess of war, the god of war, Mars, during last week and into early this week. And as this week begins, you'll also notice that we see that Mercury is with Jupiter and the sun in the sign of Gemini. He's the boss. He's the guy with all the stories to tell. He's the lord of the sign. And the best news of the week will be when Venus moves into a perfect sextile, just as a lovely energy that we can only experience once every 12 years in this way, or twice every 12 years, as Venus applies to her energy toward Jupiter. And we'll feel pretty exact on Tuesday. Jupiter, fairness and justice, in the sign of warring neighbors and brothers, with Mercury, the boss of the negotiating table, flowing to Venus, the goddess of war, after trying to heal the Chironic war wounds. Now, this energy is going to be a big story in our news cycle, maybe as early as Sunday. So I'll say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We may be feeling like, okay, there is like some attempt to solidify peace. And the mini grand trine is forming. That is that Venus is sextiling Jupiter, and they are both in a sextile to Mars. This gets stronger as the week goes on, so just keep with me here. Mercury on Tuesday is at 19 degrees, almost 20 degrees of Gemini, and he's going to square the south node, and he's moving in a inferior square to the north node. His position here, clockwise of the north node, is called bending the node. He's a nodal bender of the north node of destiny in Pisces. Now, Pisces is places where water exists, hardship, refugees, displaced people, underserved, underprivileged, people you need to be charitable toward, right? So we could pretty well say every person who doesn't live in Gaza, who is barely surviving in Gaza, would be a Piscean seaside shore of people who are disadvantaged, displaced, and suffering. And what we'll see is Mercury at the bending of that storyline. There's something important trying to happen here. What the heck is it? I don't know. Just so you know, North and South Node are on the angle of the Republican versus Democratic Party as well. Major stories coming out Sunday, Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday, Thursday. We'll get to the exact time, connected to US Congress and the government and its decisions and its legislation, just like we saw before, because Pisces represents now the Democrats and Virgo represents the Republicans. And as Mercury moves forward, and he coming off of his Cazimi in the heart of the sun on Thursday, the 29th of the month, he was joining with the sun. We can watch as the week progresses. We're now on Wednesday. And keep watching the sky. Here's Mercury at 24 degrees of Gemini, and he's just past the nodal bending. So it's really active mostly on Wednesday. So Mercury is Wednesday's day, right? Mercredi. So Wednesday into Thursday, because he's moving pretty quickly, depends on your time zone, he will be making news happen. So Wednesday and Thursday, Mercury says, important information, news, phone calls, text messages in our personal life, negotiations in the big world, announcements coming through from the Gemini part of the sky. Now, Gemini means something in the United States. It's a house of its open enemies or people that it wishes to, make partnerships with. It can be that as well. So when we talk about tariff wars, we're going to see some news. Mercury rules tariffs regarding the tariff situation in the United States and vis-a-vis other countries. So watch for big tariff news stories breaking free through our sky Wednesday and Thursday of next week. But the nodes make it more intense, more critical, and more extremely important. And certainly with that north node in the sign of Pisces, I can definitely point to the Gaza situation pretty strongly here as well. No doubt about it. Now, as this is occurring, Jupiter at 28, Venus at 28, Mars at 23, you see the triangle forming. Do you see that? That little triangle here is called the miniature grand trine. And that is opening up something beautiful. And it includes Chiron, who wants to heal the wounds of war. It includes Mercury and Jupiter, and it includes solo Mars. So this energy is kind of like, it's really Jupiter, Mercury, good news, right? Good news around Gemini type situations. It's Mars in the sign of Leo. Leaders, especially Donald Trump, who has a Mars here and a Leo rising, or JD Vance, or the nation of Iran, and also healing the Chironic wounds of the sign of Aries, which connect to conflict, strife, and war. So something good is trying to happen with this very interesting triangle in our sky. And you're going to see it's very beautifully set up here around Wednesday and Thursday, especially as this is going to also activate the node of fate here, and also the one in Virgo here as Mercury is square those nodes. So it's a pretty cool sky. I don't know what exactly this news cycle will look like in the world. It's going to be a big deal because it's got that nodal fated destined thing. Borders are maybe in the story, and that's usually a Saturn story, but why I say borders is Saturn's with Venus. So borders between countries, space, land, division of land, things to do with peace and peace treaties that are forged in the fire of a Venus who's demanding peace, and really a Mars who is like, I'm the king, I'm going to bring it. And Jupiter, who's bit off more than he can chew in Gemini, but he's got some help from the Lord of the house to help sort the details. Having peace is difficult with Jupiter in Gemini because he can't seem to get the details right of those treaties, of those agreements. And then along comes Mercury with Jupiter and says, look at the details, dude. We've got this thing. This is exactly what this contract is about. Let's not miss the details, and let's negotiate this from a position of fairness and justice and truth. Fairness, justice, and truth, negotiating the wounds of war in peace. I am not hopeful because what's going on in the Middle East right now is a project of a right-wing fanatical government that believes in biblical prophecy, that the land that all belongs to that particular nation. And it's also engaged in horrific crimes of war that have been acknowledged by most of the world. And yet something here could be a turnaround for the worst of what is pending. And I won't go too much more into it to put you guys in a bad mood, but you certainly can't. It's like you put the cheese in the rat trap for the rat or the mouse to go toward it, and then you trap them there. Well, that's what's going on with the boxes of pasta, beans, and flour that people can get, but can't leave after they get it. So bringing people down to Rafah, making the hungry, starving people walk 12 kilometers and then trapping them there. But here's the other thing, acknowledged by the nation who's creating those boxes, by the way, which is the nation of I. But you can't exactly cook those beans or that pasta without clean water, without boiling water. There's electricities have been down. There's no electricity. What firewood's left to build fires? People are starving. You give them a box of dried goods that really can't be utilized without the proper equipment. I mean, it's beyond the beyond, right? Flour requires a bakery that's operating. So my point is, it's beyond ridiculous to see that the bookend of what happened in the 1940s to a particular ethnic group are now the abusers are being the ones who were abused or traumatized are being the traumatizers. It's just crazy stuff. All right, moving on away from the gnarly world events, let's do your sign. When we do your sign today, it's not so dark, right? And there's a turning point in the darkness, I hope, this week ahead. What it is like, I'm going to say, you're going to have some good news, Mercury, Jupiter, coming through the sky this week, maybe critical information, understanding, turning point news, maybe Tuesday through Thursday. And as this flashes through the sky, it brings benefic Jupiter-Venus trine energy for good luck, positive energy. And again, it's rare enough to see this energy with Mercury going back to 1989 and 2007. See what I'm saying? Let alone me tracking when the last time Venus and Mars trined in this way. So we got a lot of nice, luscious, rare sky, developing turning point information, news, negotiations, and deals in each of our lives. And we're going to start with Aries. We're going to go all the way through to Pisces. Don't forget to come join me in Sky Reader. Love to see you there. Like and subscribe. Every video I put out now has an extra where I just ramble about something of curiosity or interest to me that's going on in the world, my perception of it, or maybe something that's happened in my life. We talk about a mandala effect, synchronicity as well. I think I'll cover out-of-body experiences this time because I'm so tired. I'm almost out of my body. I have had very little sleep in the last 2 nights, not for bad reasons, but I mean, I think I went on 4 hours 2 nights ago and 6.5 last night. So if I seem a little spaced out, I am. Thank you for your caretaking love about my allergies. I appreciate it. I did hit the quercetin hard. Either the allergies have gotten better for me because I'm really caring for myself, or the main offending pollen has left my sky and my eyes are not red, watery, and puffy. They're just tired. Thank you for all your guidance in the chat, you guys. Bee pollen recommendation. Thank you for that too. You guys are amazing, and I appreciate your concern, care, and kindness. I do. Let us go into the sky for the week ahead, and we're going to start with Aries. So Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is a week ahead. As I said, June 2nd to 8th, where we have mostly positive stories developing. Certainly, having Venus in your sign, you're still feeling more charming, more beautiful, more lovely, more gracious, more persuasive and charismatic. And people like you and people compliment you because you're looking more Venusian, quite beautiful. Your sun is your career and purpose. Your moon is your home and safety and how you're emotionally feeling about life. And your rising sign are all your circumstances. So you have this Venusian glow up. And as this is occurring this week ahead, Venus, having healed a chironic wound about your appearance, your identity, your career, or your home, has now, or about love in general, is now flowing into a beautiful alignment with Jupiter. And she's quite exactly with Jupiter on Wednesday. So you could kind of give yourself Tuesday through Thursday feeling very lucky. And the luck that you can generate comes from the third house where Jupiter sits. And that can mean winning a local lottery because of Mars in the fifth house. This could mean you're able to generate some kind of, beautiful, superpowered creative writing project. You're maybe going to have a social media glow up. Something could do really well if you're a social media person under this kind of sky, or something you're learning or teaching brings you luck and opportunity, or a lucky chance to travel for romantic opportunities next week. But, the opportunity may emerge out of the blue and you may be going, yeah, let's take this trip. Now, what I love about this is that with Mars in your romance house since mid-April through to mid-June, you're definitely trying to fire up a little bit of your creative energy, your procreative energy, your enthusiasm for life. You're trying to find your competitive spirit. Good for playing lotteries because Mars competes in the house of lotteries or games of chance or gambling. So gambling can pay off, basically. Don't overdo it. Don't listen to an astrologer for your addictions. Gambling in moderation could pay off next week. You may win something. Now, when we talk about Mercury bending the North Node as he's in a clockwise position, counterclockwise or clockwise? This is what happens when the brain is off track and falling into, yes, it's when well, anyway, trust me on this. With Mercury's position here, relative to the North Node, he's bending the North Node of fate. And when he bends the North Node of fate, something is going to change. Not necessarily break, but information, news, something important is happening here. Something needs to be understood. Some information is coming to you, etc. Now, give me a minute. Well, I won't do that. And so pay attention to what you get in terms of those phone calls, emails, and texts, especially the third house is very communications oriented. Look for that to be something Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, flashing through your information, just digestion for you. And it is going to be positive because of Jupiter and Venus here. So a nice flash of positive news is coming through in your life. I can't tell you what it is. It could do with rental properties, pets. It could have to do with money made from foreign places and foreign shores and foreign markets. It could have to do with a younger sibling. It could have to do with travel trips, learning, education, etc. Big, exciting breakthrough energies, destined, fated, turning point information, and luck. Let me know how that goes. I'm coming right back. I just need to get something. I just had to get a chocolate break. I mean, I was fainting from fatigue. This is so good. This is Zimmet chocolate. Where is it? Organic, biological, 100% woman-owned and founded, refined sugar-free coconut sugar, organic. I love it. I love it. Where is it from? Like, who makes it? Like, where? Oh, Zimmet chocolates? Zimt chocolates. Zimt. What a strange name. It's Vancouver, Canada. It's delicious. Okay. Now that I've given myself a jolt of chocolate, we're going to continue. Like, subscribe, and hit my notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Okay, I was just having like literally a sugar low of exhaustion. So here we go, guys. Back to you. We finished with Aries. I don't think I have anything else to say. Let me know what this kind of news is. Again, siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, neighbors. Good news there. Neighborhood stuff. Maybe win the lottery with this combination. Let me know if you win a scratch and win or the local kiosk lottery, but it's a fascinating possibility. Let's move into the next sign. We have to get ourselves into the whole sign houses. Give me a sec. I do this every time. I forget to adjust it back to whole sign. No, not Capricorn. We're going all the way back in time to Taurus. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Well, let's go into the idea that, you haven't seen this since 2007 and 1989 when we saw that that Mercury was going to bend the North Node in your 11th house. So reminding you of the beautiful rarity of something going on basically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that looks like information and news about money. And it could be good news money, exciting news money. Jupiter, the guy who's good, about bounteous and prosperous, and North Node increasing your worldly gains from one's career and reputation zone, even including windfalls, pennies from heaven, and friends and favors from people in high places who wish to support you, benefactors and allies, good news and money. Yes, that's what you got going. When? Yes, this week ahead. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. One other thing about it is that Venus is also flowing to Mars, and this is creating a mini triangle in our sky, a mini grand trine of positivity. Venus is in the house of the wounds you have around yourself undoing, your addictions and your own bad habits, including some of your karma. But, you're not responsible. Maybe other lives, you did some certain things. You're balancing the scales of justice, so to speak, or karma. Though some of your past life karma has been healing, and Venus has just finished doing some work with that, and now she's flowing to the money luck placement, the Hail Mary pass of Jupiter in Gemini, and we got Mars indicating real estate, home, property, and land moves and moving. I'm wondering if some of you could also have a breakthrough in your career, in your home, your property, your land, and your money. All of these things are playing out here. One thing I would say, that if you wanted to sell a home, buy a home, change a home, Jupiter rules mortgages and loans and banking, and Mars is slicing through the house of the home. Venus is also the ruler of the house of rentals. So you may be able to rent out a property or rent your own. Suddenly you find out this is here, but this happens through room deals and negotiations. Things are happening behind the scenes on your behalf that favor you. Some of you with Saturn's placement may have some good news this week about a new situation financially connected to the career space that you're in. So yet it happens without your complicity. It might be happening while you're sleeping. Maybe some backroom deals and negotiations are happening on your behalf by your employer, but you could have some good news around money. End of story, money. Is this winning the lottery? Probably not. Probably not, Taurus, just because you don't have a particular super strength going on in the fifth house. The South Node is not that. So it's more like things going on that feel like you're so lucky you may as well have won the lottery. Maybe in career, maybe in home, property, and real estate, mortgages, loans and debts, and financial Hail Mary pass information, news, or developments coming through the sky. Mercury is a negotiator. He's in the house of possessions. Mars is in the house of property. You may be or you could negotiate a deal for a new car, but you could be negotiating things to do with property that you own and winning at the end of the negotiation, getting exactly what you want. So tell me how it goes. I'd love to hear in the comments if you can remember to come back what happens during this week ahead, especially Wednesday through Thursday, as this nodal bending gets all hooked up with the Venus, Jupiter, fortunate energy. Well, Gemini, it's a simple story this week. It's a nodal bending that hasn't happened since 1989, 2007. Watch the intro. And what's going on is that Mercury, from the position of his dignity and strength in your sign, squares the North Node in your 10th house. He bends the North Node. Number one, a few things to say. If you're a Gemini sun, you're talking about matters of career. If you're a Gemini moon, you're talking about matters of home and emotions. And if you're a Gemini rising, you're talking about anything in your life that has to do with your circumstances. My sun has progressed into Gemini. You guys don't ask me that question again. Yes, your progressed planets matter, but your natal chart is still fundamental. So, but I can try to give you examples from what my life of speculating what this might be about. So the first thing is that having the benefic planet Venus in the career gains house, just having healed a chironic wound there, while she is in a beautiful flow to lucky Jupiter in the house of Gemini, in the sign of you, while she's trining Mars in the third, opens up a mini grand trine. And around Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, as Mercury really begins the nodal bending, right? We want to notice that by Thursday, he's going to be really in the thick of it. Maybe move ahead by a day so we can see that more clearly. That by Thursday is bending that node. And you say, I should even extend it to Friday because it depends on time zones. Yeah. So let's go Tuesday through to Friday. You're really feeling something good is happening on the news front. information. But because it's also your sign, you might actually be negotiating a deal, striking a contract regarding an opportunity connected to your career and the gains you make from that career, especially if you're a teacher, a writer, a communicator, a diviner, a scryer, or you work in the social media and online realm, especially that where Mars is championing for you there. And this will indicate a potential glow up in your resources from your career financially, or an increase of your reputation as well. All said and done, I'm going to move back to the Wednesday. You're going to like the sky. There's nothing about this that you don't feel good about. You may come up with a blindingly positive new idea, or you may communicate something that gives you a huge amount of positive momentum in your third house, writing, teaching, communicating, and scrying, or your 11th house, the great gains of career that come from it. One example could be invited to somebody's podcast or somebody else's groups of influence and getting exposure to a community, a larger community that isn't your normal run-of-the-mill community, right? So that kind of story could be happening here as well. The North Node does want to expand your career and give you worldly success, and will apply to do that, tend to do that through till midsummer next year. So that's ongoing increase of worldly success. And as Juno and the Node of Fate are coming into a connection together as well, there could be a new contract agreement regarding unexpected work opportunities, or not necessarily unexpected, regarding beneficent and positive new job and work opportunities coming through the sky in the week ahead. And you'll kind of get, I said, Tuesday through Friday, kind of epicenter on Wednesday, Thursday. Oops, I apologize. I was wondering why it wasn't going forward. We're set for days, not for hours, and we're moving into the sign of Cancer. Sun, moon, and rising sign. What do you see here? I see that the nodes are definitely being bent by Mercury, like 2007 and like 1989. Go back and listen to the intro for the exact dates, because this is so rare. So the kind of information or news is trying to qualitatively come to you that's going to make some significant pivots in matters connected to your ninth house. What is your ninth house? Well, it's where you want to succeed in higher education, foreign travel, visas, legal and court cases, matters of publishing and book publishing in particular. And you want to experience some success there. Worldly success is Rahu's forte. And along comes Mercury. He bends the North Node and he suggests positive developments could happen through information, news, commerce, marketing, and selling. I say that because your 12th house is where you do marketing and selling, connected to foreign marketplaces, digital income, and borderless revenue. But also you could have some backroom deals and negotiations that benefit you getting into your higher educational setting that you've always wanted to go to. You could get some breakthroughs around court cases that favor you at this time as all things settle in your behalf. And you're maybe so delighted to know that that's the truth. And Tuesday through Friday, these are things that may occur. With Mars in your second house and Venus in your 10th house, it says positive developments, prosperous and lucky developments through decisions and actions you're taking regarding your earnings and your resources from work. Career, work, earnings and money, and prosperity are all intertwined here. Now, one of the things about Venus here in the top of your sky, she also rules home, property, and real estate in your chart. And therefore, given that the moon will be moving through Libra midweek, it's positive developments that may also connect you to your home. You may have an opportunity, for instance, to sell a home, buy a home, rent a home, but more buy, sell. But property matters and prosperity matters and career matters are all entangled here. So I can see those all being possible, not either or, but and. Yes, career glow up. Hey, Venus is ruling that Libra moon at the bottom of the sky. I don't know what to say. Are you going to, I don't know, rent a property? Jupiter owns rentals in your chart. Buy a property, sell a property, and have some good developments prosperity-wise with the negotiations or the finances around those matters. Because suddenly Mars might say you want something. You're going to drive, well, not want, you're going to make decisions and take actions for something you wish to possess. You say, oh, I'm not going to buy anything. You find out your neighbor's going to sell their house at 2/3 of the price you think it's worth. You might want to grab it. So pay attention what happens during this week ahead. Say Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, you last saw 2007 and then also May of 1989. You saw the nodal bending from Mercury, bending the North Node in Pisces. And Mercury is the god of good things that are news oriented, good news from people and places of the 11th, colleagues, co-workers, friends, benefactors, allies, a sibling one older, Jupiter, prosperity, positivity, bending your North Node of chunky money. For example, your older sister wins the lottery and gives you a bunch of money. Ha ha ha. Leo, my sister Nancy's going to timestamp this. Hopefully she hears this. Because ultimately, whatever it is, windfalls and pennies from heaven can be of the 11th house. And North Node is extending the chunks of money you receive, the unearned income, the shared resources with others. And though those kinds of monies are not your paycheck. So there's some kind of expansion of a chunk of money for some Leos in the sky. Maybe it's a small chunk, but any chunk will do, right? See that to be possible Tuesday through Friday. And it heats up on Wednesday, Thursday. I also noticed that you see Mars is making you very decisive, action oriented. You know what decisions you need to make. You're making them. You're not hesitating. You are like on your A game. You're a hero, action taker, decision maker par excellence right now. And Mars is trining Venus. Well, you're trying to align with Dharma, the meaning of life, but this can also be news or information from a sibling, older, and or from allies, friends, benefactors, colleagues of opportunities, Jupiter, in your ninth house of God, travel, foreign land, legal and court matters, higher educational settings. I don't know what this is. If you're trying to apply for a university, a friend says, I just got you in. I'm friends with the dean of the university. If you're trying to win a court case, you get some kind of favor from a friend, like they're going to testify on your behalf. And if you're like looking at a foreign land travel opportunity, it may be suddenly offered to you by some of these people, friends, allies, benefactors, colleagues, or a sibling one older. Let me know how this goes this week. The news is coming through Mercury, and it's coming from the 11th house of good spirit. And it could increase your gains from your career as well, your financial gains from your career, maybe on the upswing. And you'll have evidence of it in the week ahead. So what about this story? I want to move us back to June the 4th. I want to keep Venus in the story, right? I'm losing Venus. So I want to keep her at 28 degrees where she's going to be on Wednesday. So you're going to notice a lot of luck coming through the sky this week ahead and a lot of pivotal life-changing information for your career. That's your 10th house, right? Your reputation, your social standing in the world. Like I'm married, I'm divorced, your stature in the world, your reputation, but also just simply the career, the job. Mercury, the negotiator, the news, Sun, the boss, Jupiter, the king. Like this is the boss, career, work, setting, place. If you're employed by yourself, then it's what's happening in that place of self achievement and success in career. That's positive. But Mercury is also bending the note of fate in the 7th house. Now that can be a contractual agreement. So suddenly there's this, or interestingly, this week provides you an opportunity to sign agreements legally, terms of service, sign on contracts, some contractual agreement connected to your career. Very positive this week ahead, like starting a new job, like getting some contract or agreement regarding a raise, promotion, new terms of service in the work. I don't know. Nodal bending 2007, 1989 happened then too. It depends on your age. It may not be relevant to career back then. In other words, it can also be about father figures. And the sun is that up in the 11th, 10th house. So the interesting news that are turning point information about a father figure. Now with Saturn, Venus, Chiron, Neptune in the house of chunky money, I wonder if an elder father figure may be dispensing money your way, and you have news of that this week ahead. Venus is trining Mars. Mars is like, let's quit something, let's cut something, let's end and sever. Now, it could be many things. The 12th house, you could quit a self-undoing addiction, bad habit. We have them, right? And it's time to say, sayonara, I'm done with you. Venus is pleasure, and you're going deep into the dharmic, karmic past life storylines in this chart to excavate and extricate yourself from family of origin, self-undoing, self-sabotage, and addictions. For some of you, that may be true. And you may have some information or news that helps you do that this week ahead. But on a more obvious note, it definitely has to do with career. The moon is moving through your second house, trining the stellium in your 10th on Wednesday into Thursday. It looks like more money, more earnings, or more possessions through your career, a nice little chunk of money that comes to you. It may be more than you expect, a bonus, something more than you're, intending to receive. It's good for your finances, it's good for your career, and it's good for chunks of money as well. All said and done, on the career and money front, things are looking great this week ahead. If you are looking for a new job and you want to apply for a new job under the sky, I would send your resume out. It's offering up opportune energy to get a response from an employer and get a chance to take an interview, which is seventh house stuff, for that job. So if you're not happy in your career and you need a new job, a new career, then this is going to be the sky to apply for jobs under, okay, or respond to a job offer. Those sorts of things are here for you. Next sign we're talking about is Libra. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Certainly, you've got Jupiter in your lucky Jupiter in your ninth house of God with Mercury in dignity and the sun, but Mercury's bending the node of fate. And he's bending the north node like 2007 and 1989, around the same time of year. And this is indicating you got the bending of the north node. You've got some kind of pivotal destined change in your life regarding pets, rental properties, work and job setting stuff, debts that you owe, money that you owe, debts you have to pay down or off, and also karmic debts as well. Now, with the North Node in the sixth house, there is this energy of Mercury in the house of courts, and sixth house can be legal matters through lawsuits. And so there's a turning point bending in a legal matter that looks positive and lucky for you with Jupiter's help. With this energy too, if you work in a company that's from a foreign country or a foreign place, and some of you may, there's some good news on the work front connected to that company as well. Having Venus in the seventh house with Mars in the 11th this week ahead is trying to give your long-term committed love stories a bit of a ease and glow and flow, more fun, more social activity with others, more reconciliation, having healed a chironic wound in that relationship last week. And certainly with Neptune there, and Chiron, if you have a wounded partner in any way, love and business, but mostly love, and especially with regards to mental illness or addictions, and there could be some smoothing of those waters this week ahead. But Jupiter is bringing some luck with Mercury, something opportune and something positive. And maybe some of you will get a wedding proposal. Maybe some of you will get engaged. Maybe some of you will ask the other to marry you. With the moon moving through Libra, your eyeballs are all on one-on-one partnership, justice, balance, and fairness in those relationships, or if it's about court matters with Mercury, getting your just desserts and fair rewards. Mercury and Jupiter in the house of publications, including book publishing. If you are like my Libra friend Renee, who's got a publishing deal on the table, this is a beautiful time for signing on the dotted line and making a commitment to that. And with Mercury up here, there may be new developments that are showing up that are very fated regarding book and book publishing and work and service and destiny. This is a great week for those themes as well. Want to go off to college or university? You're going to get a good acceptance letter this week, or you're going to get your best, good news about your essay, or your professor wants to recommend you for another level of success. These are the kinds of stories that show up as well. Well, Scorpio, sun, moon, rising sign. What does it mean that you have Mercury bending the North Node in Pisces, like he did in 2007 and 1989, and he's doing it again this week ahead? It kind of means that you're going to have destined information around chunks of money or secrets, especially family secrets or spousal secrets coming through your sky. Mercury would tell the truth with Jupiter there. So I think you're going to get not all the details, because maybe Jupiter will gloss it over, but some truth telling from family of origin secrets may occur this week ahead. However, Jupiter is in an inheritance position with a solar figure connected to Pluto and legacy wealth, fourth house. Some information about money that you may not have seen coming Venus says, yay, let's take the money and pay off some debts. And Mars says, let's propel ourselves to quitting our job that we hate or getting more career success. Because whatever Mercury's doing as he bends the North Node, the nodal bending may impact your creativity, your artistry, your entrepreneurial stuff in a positive, fated, destined way. The fifth house is alive with goodness. The fifth house is your children and your lover, and news and information that was unknown to you becomes true and visible in a destined, fated way during this week ahead. And it may not always be an easy story, but it will propel you to destined directions in love, regarding your children, regarding romance, and regarding creative projects, as secrets can be revealed when Mercury is in the eighth house. If you're an occultist and talking to the dad, hearing from the dad, doing some occult mystery magic could show up for you in a positive way this week ahead, where Mercury is in the house of the deep mysteries, the occult mysteries, the hidden realms. I would say that having this little mini trine here, 10th house, 8th house, 6th house, work, job, and money stories are positively impacted this week ahead. You may be able to benefit from some prosperity, like a sign-on bonus, a big commission check, a severance package for your work, get laid off, you get a lot of money, you're relieved, you want to be more creative at home anyway. Those kinds of stories can happen here. We can see inheritance, though, as well. And again, we're looking at father figures, particularly elders in the family system, and money through inheritance, or even just like a living trust. I don't know, a situation where money is coming to you from the family of origin. Does it have to be father figures? That's my question. Well, maybe not entirely. Could also come from mother figures, with the moon moving through the 12th house, trining Mercury. So fathers or mothers in the family system dispensing lucky money breaks to you. They don't have to be dead for this to happen. It could just be, hey, kiddo, you need some help. Here's a gift. The stranger things have happened because the North Node's in the house of good fortune, including money, luck, and speculation and gambling. If you were to play a lottery ticket and know your limit, play within it, you may win some money this week as well. Okay, you're looking for the epicenter maybe Tuesday through to Friday. Now, with your Sagittarius people, sun, moon, and rising sign, first things first, let me take a slurp of my kombucha stuff. It's not even kombucha. It's sparkling organic tea adaptogens, grapefruit and hibiscus, and ashwagandha, and trace minerals. Oh, I love this stuff. It's called Calm. Bubbles with benefits. I spend a fortune on exotic things like this at Whole Foods. I really do. Where's this made? Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada. So, Sagittarius, don't forget to like, subscribe if you're in the live premiere. It helps the channel grow. Let's get into Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, first of all, Jupiter, the Lord of your sign, is flowing to Venus this week ahead. Pretty exact on Wednesday, feeling it all week long. You are lucky, so darn lucky. And love. This is the ideal first date. This is the ideal deeper level of commitment in an existing relationship. This is the ideal romantic time. This is good for your children. They're going to benefit and receive benefits from this as well. And you could heal a chironic wound with a child with a new level of fair agreements, even including legal contracts with a child. So chironic wounds with children can be healed as well. And you can have a nice healing and a vibe of goodness when it comes to enjoying life, fun, play, pleasure, leisure travel with a significant other, a getaway, a romantic getaway. These things are really strong this week ahead. But, you know, Mercury bending the node of fate from the marriage house. If you survived this transit of Jupiter through here, and some of you didn't in the last year, now Mercury's got something to negotiate. Jupiter is legal and justice, right? So negotiations at the bending of the node of fate are regarding property, home, pets, things in the house, who gets what. Some of you may be in a very strong, pivotal, destined negotiating mode, similar to Mercury's position in 2007 spring and 1989, same time of year, May in those cases. So you've been through this kind of energy before. The sky is never the same. But, you know, Saturn hit the Grim Reaper has entered your romantic house. Jupiter is in detriment in your marriage house. So some of you are going through some hard times, if not separations and relationships. And I kind of would say Mars, the god of champion, warrior, hero, advocate in the house of courts. This could look like dotted line negotiations, mediations, and conversations with a significant marriage partner about matters of who gets what. But, Mercury also could be information about your partner or things going on with your partner where they're having some bended nodal changes connected to the fourth house. The moon, which is mother figure, is in the 11th house. And it's possible that the mother of a significant other and news around that mother is leading to some stories of changes around home, property, land, and real estate, even to the point your partner may be receiving some benefits like home, property, land, and real estate from their mother in their life. So it could be about your other, not you. Just keep in mind that story. North Node's expanding your home, changing your home. Destined shifts in the home, homes in foreign places with foreign people. These are stories through to mid next year ongoing, but I can see some of you making a definite decision to make a home change connected to a significant other in your life during the week ahead. It still is a lucky sky. Venus is in the house of gambling and winning money. Possibly you're one of the signs for whom playing a ticket could be successful. It's not the strongest chart for that with Venus in detriment, but it could happen. Venus can bring pregnancy and information and news from the spouse. You find out that your significant other, your long-term committed other, is pregnant. That's a story that could show up this week ahead too. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. What are you going to do when Mercury bends the nodes of fate in the house of work? Like he did in May of 2007 and May of 1989, maybe you had pivotal destined changes in the work you do in the world at that time. Noticing the North Node is growing a bigger energy in your third house of marketing, selling, writing, and communicating, traveling, and social media and online stories. When I think of selling in the third house now, we think of online digital marketing and selling. But in the old days, this was your traveling salesman house, right? So in the house of the traveling salesman. So if you're a marketer, a seller, or whatever, digital or in real life, there's something about destined change connected to work appearing for you the first week of June. Well, June 2nd to the 8th, more likely Tuesday through Friday, as this nodal bending is underway. And again, you can go back and say, did I make some job changes in any particular way back in 2007 and 1989 in the month of May? Having this happen with Jupiter means lucky break. It's not just the nodal bending. Jupiter brings luck. So positive, lucky opportunities to do with work and career, because of course the moon is moving through Libra during most of this, and that is work and career and luck and changes and destined. That may require travel or a flurry of back and forth emails, Zoom calls, and text messages as you're in the thick of, say, being vetted or applying or going through multiple interviews. The Sun Jupiter can represent a boss in the workplace, loving you up, giving you a raise or promotion, elevating you to the top of the sky, giving you a new level of power and balance and fairness, right? Something like that could happen here. Why not? That is a first quarter moon. And so it's, open. Is it? Hang on. What moon am I looking at here? All right, full moon over here. And hang on, I will be right with you. Lori's using her lack of brain to figure it out. Yes, so first quarter moon. So the first quarter moon is like something new wants to sprout in your career, and in the workhouse, things are trying to make it happen. Mars is like major change, major decisions and actions, stock investments, chunks of money, inheritance, spousal support monies, money that you're kind of slicing through the way that the wastage may happen, or the over usage of your longer term investment monies or your retirement funds. And Mars is trying to make change there since mid-April till mid-June. And as he's going through the sky, he's trining Venus this week in the fourth house of land, property, home, and real estate as he goes through the house of mortgages, and Mercury's in the house of debts, paying down a mortgage, paying off a mortgage, buying a house, selling a house, renting a property out, renting a new home for yourself. These are all stories that the sky offers. Mercury's a deal maker, the negotiator in the sky. Look for stories to do with themes of property, land, real estate, buying, selling mortgages, rentals, and renting as a tenant or a landlord. Stories are upon stories are ongoing here. Yes, that's your story. I'm sticking with it. All right. And it feels like a good feel sky for me, for you. I mean, for me, for you, for me. I do like the moon midweek. I'm looking for some opportunities in work and career, possibly cropping up for you as well. Aquarius, this week ahead, we have Mercury bending the North Node like he did in May of 2007 and May of 1989. Now, I'm an Aquarius rising, so I'll use me as an example as I go through this delineation. Mercury is in your fifth house, and your fifth house has to do with entrepreneurship, good fortune, romantic love, children, maybe matters to do with your creative art and projects, anything you create by yourself. For me, I can compare this nodal bending as he was bending the North Node in the house of income to May of 2007, in which tarot.com website launched my product called the Tarology Report that I had been creating for them in the year before. That would have been, well, I actually started creating it for them in January of 2007. So they launched it that spring, that May, and it began to create royalty income for me. And I'd never made any money online. And all of a sudden I got my first royalty check. So looking at that, I can say it was a very successful and prosperous increased North Node in my second house of earnings from a house of creative generation, the fifth house, where I created a product. So in 1989, I had a blowout year of career success. Oh, that was when I was with my baby, making my baby in my womb, Adrian. Oh my God, my firstborn child. What was I doing in 1989 May? I quit my job. I was too busy making a baby. I was traveling Europe. Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to think about the money angle. North Node is expanding money, is what I'm saying. In 1989, I must have had a financial increase sometime in the spring of 89 that I'm not remembering right now, but it'll come to me at some point. But look, the thing is that if you have children, Jupiter's where your children are, and they're having lucky breaks. So always don't make the sky about you. So one way of coding the sky is a destined lucky break turning point in the life of one of your children financially. One of my daughters wrote me a text. I'm so depressed in my job. I wouldn't need to win the lottery. And I said, well, then come to my next collage party and manifest it. No, don't be the victim of circumstance. Try to lean into, mindset here. So who knows? Maybe after all, this week ahead opens up an opportunity for her to have a financial gain, something good happening in her money story. So sometimes when we see good things happening in the fifth house, it's actually for our children or for a romantic partner. Now, Mars is in the seventh house of long-term committed love. He's been there since mid-April. And he leaves mid-June. It's kind of like separation or distance or cutting away or severing or time apart from some significant person in your life. And now he's finishing that story up. He happens to trine Venus in the house of short distance travel. And this trine is pretty exact on Wednesday, but also it could be an opportunity. Okay, so it can be an opportunity for a romantic getaway. You're taking the trip, you're planning the trip, you're scheduling the trip, you're on the trip Wednesday, but it can be all the way Tuesday through to Sunday. Another thing I feel about this with Jupiter's placement is that your significant other may also have a good financial opportunity because Jupiter is talking to Mars. So your children as well. I kind of would say that if you are a writer, marketer, seller, and a social media person, where Venus is in your third house, and she's talking to Mars in a positive way, something that you're creating in your writing, communicating, social media space, Mercury, entrepreneurial, creative space, may really take off in a way that's quite positive for you and increases your income as well. And you'll see that possibility, if it's to become true, sometime between Tuesday and Friday of this week ahead. Now, you're one of the few signs in today's reading that playing the lottery is an absolute yes. Jupiter is luck. Mercury is kind of games of chance, roll the dice, gambling in the house of gambling with the sun there as well. And because they're talking to Venus, the goddess of money, and then bending the North Node in the house of financial increase, It certainly would be a good idea for an Aquarius rising in particular, sun and moon secondarily, to buy tickets to play lotteries this week ahead. Do you need to buy them? Maybe just win this week. Maybe it's a ticket you've already bought, but it looks good for lucky money breaks that may be like more like winning than earning some money. Or you just have such a great increase of money from something you're doing in your marketing, selling, communicating, writing, that it feels like you won the lottery. A nice surge of financial wellness that feels fortunate. Creative projects that involve writing and communicating will be flourishing in the week ahead, as well as teaching and educating. Those sorts of projects have a very beautiful love story going on, a great deal of momentum with the audience and marketplace with Mars in the 7th house. And Jupiter's flowing to the Libra moon that's pretty predominant midweek. And that's really good for lucky breaks connected to your Dharma, connected to your international outreach, connected to book publishing and publications in general, and connected to matters maybe to do with courts and legal matters favoring you in fortunate and lucky ways. Mars is a lawsuit god in the house of agreements. So any of you dealing with legal matters, you can find a beautiful negotiation that favors you to end any of that legal hardship this week ahead. And last but not least, best and always best, we love you, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign, mystic poets of the zodiac. The world loves you guys. You're needed in this space and time. And as you're looking at this life through the lens of the sky this week ahead, the main thing is to focus on the rarity of Mercury, bending the node of fate in Pisces, your sign, like he did in May of 2007 and May of 1989, and also, by the way, the spring of 1990. 88, 99. Well, anyway, I got the 89 in my brain. And in essence, what are you doing here? You know, what's going on? It looks to me like you're trying to expand your Pisces sun career, Pisces moon, home and home life, Pisces ascendant, any part of your life you think it needs to grow, expand in destined, fated ways, and it provides worldly success. You want the carrot, you want the cigar, the wine, and the steak, like Cypher in the Matrix. This is where your focus is. You want to play the game of life here and you want to win. North Node is giving you that focus point around worldly success. And as you experience the North Node, expanding your desire for those things, maybe ravenously, you also notice that Mercury has to talk to that North Node. Maybe you just try to remember, spring, May of 2007 for a simple example, because the North Node is conversing with Mercury in real estate, property, home, issues to do with the mother, land. This is the place where Mercury sits. Possibly you may have phone calls with a mother figure to do with worldly success, property, land. Maybe with Jupiter here, there's some legacy wealth coming to you from a family of origin person, particularly mother figures in positive ways. Now, I say mother and mother figures. Be really clear. This doesn't have to be your mom. This can be somebody that's like a mom to you. And it doesn't have to be through hardship here. Like, oh no, because I see the trine from the moon in the 8th house to the 4th house, looking more like a soft touch. A mother figure wants to give you something, here, have my extra money I don't need, or my jewels that I'm not wearing. Something good wants to occur through that vibe, right? Mercury bending the node of fate could be a real estate deal, a mortgage, property sale, a lease of a property. Jupiter is trining sextiling Mars in the house of rental properties. So you may lease a property out, a room in your house in a great, lucky, fortunate way. This may also open up an opportunity for you to pursue a rental property for yourself. Some of you may be negotiating a new pet, the price of a pet, getting a new pet out of the sky as well. Having Venus in the 2nd house is good for finances as well. And your financial matters and your home matters and your work matters are very aligned. Working from home can bring great prosperity this week. It's a good time to launch a product from your home base into the world. Having Venus in your 2nd house with Saturn and all that Chiron stuff, you're healing a Chironic wound around self-worth and value and your deservingness of prosperity. And Venus is talking to Jupiter in the house of your childhood. There may be a very good psychological shift or healing around wounds around wealth and prosperity. based on challenges from your childhood and a new understanding, especially if those wounds connected to father figures from your childhood, and changing that up completely in this week ahead, psychologically or spiritually or emotionally. Now, because Jupiter rules the house of career and Mars is in the house of work and Venus is in the house of earnings, the story suggests a new job opportunity emerging for you this week ahead that brings you some money and that you're passionate about. For Mars in the sixth house is in the house of his joy. So you may have some major excitement, enthusiasm, passion, drive, willpower, and ambition about a work opportunity. And it may be a work from home opportunity where Jupiter is sitting. And you may have a seamless and easy and positive negotiation of the terms of this opportunity. And you're very delighted and excited. If any of you works in publishing books, book publishing, Juno's position in the sky can open up opportunities in publications and book publishing in the week ahead as well. Okay. And Juno is trine the North Node. So there is that kind of positive energy here for you as well. Thank you, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising for listening. Now, this is the extra. Have you guys ever had a body experience? And if you have had it, did it change your life? Because I've had a few of them. They haven't changed my life. It's not like I've had a near-death experience. I went out of my body, and I'll share two of them with you. One of them, my daughter was little. She was born in 1999. I was nursing her. She was still under like 6 months old. I was lying in bed and I fell asleep and I had a experience of floating out of my body through the wall and up an incline because my house was at the bottom of a steep hill to the top of the incline where the mailbox sat in my postal mail delivery in rural Maryland. And in that dream, but wasn't a dream, my husband was talking with my neighbor and I was listening to their conversation. And then I woke up. I suddenly was in my bed, baby was here where she was asleep. And my husband came in to the kitchen. I got out of bed and said, "Oh my God, where were you?" And it was a weekend. He wasn't at work. And he said, "I was at the top of the hill." And I said, "Stop." Were you talking to our neighbor, David? By the mailbox? And did you talk about this subject matter? And what he said, "Oh my God, how did you know?" Because I went out of my body and I was watching them. The second time it happened in any major way, there are little examples, was I was in Spain and I was traveling with a boyfriend, a long distance boyfriend. This is 2005, maybe. Yeah, 2005 or 2005. And I was in Seville, Spain. And I had not a dream. I was reading a book on how to do out-of-body experiences on the airplane ride from Canada to Spain. And so I was really deep into this book and I thought, this sounds easy. I think I can do that. And there's a bunch of instructions about how to engage in OBE, out-of-body experience. And I was lying in bed and I thought as I fell asleep, I was so jet lagged, right? I think I was running on like fumes. I might have had like 6 hours sleep over more than 24 hours. I mean, maybe 48 hours. I don't know, but I was jet lagged. And so the guy I was staying with, he was a doctor. He was at a conference. And so he was at the conference most of the day. The first day I arrived, I finished the book. Then that night we were, I was a toast. I was so zombied out. So we went to sleep. Let's say we went to sleep at like 9 o'clock because I was crashing. I needed to get up for the conference. So then I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought, why don't I try to do an OBE? So maybe it's 2 a.m. I don't know what time it is. I'm going to try to do an out-of-body experience because I have to fall back asleep. So I remembered the protocol. I engaged it. I don't know the name of the book, guys, but I kind of kept my mindset around it. And then what happened is I was starting to fall back asleep with this intention setting to do an OBE. Well, there's another layer to that, but I won't go into it. I asked my spirit guides if it was okay. I had a dream. My spirit guide said yes. I woke back up and I went back to sleep. But then I'm lying in bed in the dark night, and all of a sudden I can feel like a train vibration, like the pillow is shaking, and there's a vibration in the back of my neck, which is one of the signs you're getting ready to detach from your body. And in the book, he tells us how to roll out of our body, like as if you're rolling out of bed. So then I realized I'm in the middle of an OBE. I should just roll out of my bed. And now all of a sudden there's this rolling motion and a floating up. And I look up and I see the ceiling and I'm like, I'm fucking floating out of my body. And there's the ceiling and the roof of the room in the hotel. And then I know that there's rules of disengagement from the body. And one of them he says is you find yourself like in a swampy, syrupy, slow motion feeling, you can upgrade. You're in the slow-mo version of out of body. You're in a kind of like density level that you don't need to be in. I can't remember the word, but like maybe it was upgrade now or accelerate now. And I used that code and suddenly I wasn't in the slow-mo swamp. I was really alert and clear. And I didn't look down at the bed. I kind of knew better because I knew if I did, I might want to pop back in my body. So instead, I focused on what I wanted to do. And I said roof. And I meant go to the rooftop. And I floated through the ceiling. And suddenly I was on the rooftop of this hotel. Now, I don't even know if they don't think they had a roof deck. Like it was literally just the roof of the hotel. And I was up at the top of the hotel roof. And I'm like, what should I do next? And I'm like, I want to meet my spirit guide. And I'm thinking differently than I think when I'm in my body. I'm thinking more free and carefree. I want to meet my spirit guide. And suddenly this woman is floating through the dark night sky toward me. And she looks like Cher in her early days with the long black hair, right? When she was with Sonny and Cher show. And she floats down and then she lands on the roof and she stands in front of me. And I say, what's your name? And she says, Tara. Oh, thanks. Nice to meet you, Tara. A real Lori in real life, not in out of body mind, would be like, what's my mission? What's my purpose? How many lives have I had? Where have I come from? Where am I going? I would ask these kinds of questions. No. I'm busy, like in floaty doty, like everything's so carefree and fun when you're not in a body. And instead I'm like, okay, thanks. See you later. I want to fly. I jump off the roof. And next thing I'm soaring through the night sky in Spain, in Seville, Spain. And then I think I want to go visit my hometown of Kirkland Lake where I was born. And I'm zooming there. And the next thing I know, I'm in my sister's house in Ontario. I have two sisters, and one of the sisters had a house there, and she was living there at the time. And my youngest sister, and I'm floating through her house, and I'm looking down in the dark. It's dark because it's dark there. So I think I worked out that this was somewhere in the middle of the night for her because of the time zone difference to Ontario. So for me, it was like 5 or 6 in the morning because I woke up shortly after. So I'll explain that. But anyway, so she was in bed at night sleeping. She was really doing that when I did this because I asked her later. And it was actually her birthday. It was May 19th. I didn't realize that when I went out of body that it was. I wasn't thinking about it. And I swore through her home and I thought, oh my God, it's dirty. This girl needs to clean up the towels and the clothing on the floor of our bathroom. And truly that's true about that story, right? But I could see it, like I was seeing her real place. I checked the details later. And I forgot to tell you that when I first went out of my body and I heard a train go, woo, woo, when I first left my body. Okay. Because there's a correlation to my sister's experience as well of me traveling through her home. And then suddenly I was with my mother, who was dead at the time, and my other sister, Nancy, and me, and we're all sitting on a bench talking. And then I recognized we're all out of our body. We're all having an astral experience. But my other sisters had no cognitive remembrance of it. So we're all hanging with my mom. We were all very close, 3, 4 sisters really. And then I think to myself, how long I've been talking on a bench with my dead mom and my 2 out of body sisters. For goodness sakes, I better get back to my body. And instantly, bang, I thought of my body and didn't take time. I was there. I was looking at my body from the ceiling. I could see myself sleeping on my side, and I had a panic attack. And I'm like, what if I can't get back in? Oh my God. Then as soon as I had the thought, I was in my body, and I woke up in the bed, and my hands and my feet were numb. Like as if you had been sitting on your hands and feet, you know what I mean? And you have to shake it out because there's no blood flow. Hands and feet were numb. I think I was gone too long. I shook out my hands, I shook out my feet, and I wrote it all down. And then later asked my sister, what happened on the 19th, the night of your birthday? Anything unusual that night? Because I was floating through your house out of body, I said. And she said, yes, I heard a train go, woo, woo, woo. But Lori, it wasn't the right time for the train. The train comes through town at XY and XY time. And that was really weird. And I said, that's strange because I started off by hearing the train when I left my body. So maybe she was kind of in tune with me. There was no real train. We were entrained with each other, All those stories are entertaining. I've had a few other OBEs, by the way, but those are my two most favorite stories to tell and the most dramatic versions of them. Have any of you guys had out-of-body experiences? Has it changed your life? Would you like to share in the comments more? I'd love to read it. If you want to tell me about your stories, I will definitely listen and read. And I guess what I say about the out-of-body experience is that, like a near-death experience, it shows you that you're not the body. There's a part of your consciousness that's separate from the body that is lighter and freer and more full of wonder and awe, like a little kid, when the consciousness is detached from the quagmire and the sanskaras and the maya and the heavy density of the physical body in the matrix. So that's just an entertaining little story for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Take care. Don't forget to like and subscribe and come study Sky Reader with me and enjoy the bending of the nodes of fate by Mercury and the lucky mini grand trine in this week ahead. Ciao, everyone.